everybody. Good evening and welcome to tonight's live stream. We are going to start this amazing project of a floral cat, and we're going to kind of change it up. It'll be a little bit interesting because we're going to burn half of it with the Versa-Tool and the shading point, and then we're going to burn half of it with the Razertip, and kind of just compare and see how that goes with each of the different tools. So it's kind of not really a showdown, really, but just to give you guys some more information to see how the different tools handle and what we can create with both of them. So it'll be fun. I picked this project because it has a nice variety of skills that we can work on. We have eyes. Eyes are great. They're always fun to wood burn. And then we have fur, which can be kind of challenging. And then some smooth shading with the flowers. So I thought this might be a good, kind of well-rounded overall project to start on for tonight. Alrighty. So I'm going to jump back to the top and say hi to everybody. So, hi Michael, hi Mina, hi Night Owl, hi Vivian, hi Steve, hi Rhonda, hi Michelle and Estella, hi Laura and Cynthia, hi Vicky, hola Omar, and welcome. Awesome. Okay. So, do you guys want me to kind of draw a line down the middle of this project? Just to give you guys a nice barrier. What do you think? Line or no line down the middle? Will that kind of help you guys to see the difference? Or it might help me actually to stay in the right spot and not get distracted. So let me know if you want me to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to lightly sand down some of our guidelines here. You're divided. Night Owl, you are divided about the line. Well, lines can be dividing. If you want to see a little bit more of a clear-cut difference, that line might be helpful. Okay. All right, so you guys are just kind of saying for like whatever works best for me. Well, you know, this is a learning project from the get-go, so let's go ahead and put a line down the middle. And we'll just line up here with little kitty nose. Make sure I'm right on there. Okay, thanks guys for the preference. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. So that will differentiate the one side from the other. I was kind of going back and forth as far as which side I wanted it to do with which point. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. So we'll just work left to right, and start with the Versa-Tool on this side, and then we'll switch to the Razertip on that side. I'm also thinking that instead of burning the entire project, like this whole side with the Versa-Tool and then go this whole side to the Razertip, I might focus on different features at a time, just to make it a little bit more relevant. So I'm going to start with the eyes. I'll burn this eye and surrounding area with the Versa-Tool, and then I'll switch to the Razertip and we'll repeat. How does that sound, guys? Does that sound okay? Or do you want like the whole thing and then the whole thing? I think by the time we finish this whole thing, you'll kind of, I don't know, maybe not really be connected with the differences. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, and I will go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn on my camera so it does not turn off. Alrighty, well, let's zoom in here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to scoot that over and try to make it to where you guys can still see the reference photo. I might need to move me just a little bit. That all sounds good? Cool. Alrighty, I'm going to move me over here, and I think that will help. Okay, so let's see. We're going to start with the Versa-Tool and the shading point. Mina was saying, I was just thinking that the cat is going to turn out so beautiful. I wasn't sure if the line in the middle was necessary, but everyone else said whatever works best for you. I'm a little bit torn as well. I might actually have to make this wood burning project again with just a single point. It's very beautiful, and I feel like, oh, I'm going to mess it up, you know, doing the two halves, but that's what we're here for, is learning. And so once I kind of get my mind in the groove that this is just a learning project and I'm not going to, you know, really put this in a gallery or sell it for whatever later, then it allows me a little bit more freedom, I think, to explore and have fun. So if you guys want to do the same thing with two different burners, try to just understand that this is a learning project. It's a study. That's all it is. It's just a study. I know sometimes I try to make everything finished artwork, but the point of studies is to help us grow as artists anyway. So that is helping me, because I know I'm going to go crazy with the two different halves, but we're going to do it anyway. So here we go. All right, so I have the shading point, and it's on high. Alrighty. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put in the dark part of the eye. And if at any time, guys, I need to zoom in, if you can't see very well, please let me know. You're welcome, Mina. Yeah, I was really torn as far as this whole project, because I like things to be maybe a little bit more perfect than they need to be, and we're just gonna learn and have fun with this one. Hi, Terry. Night Owl. Yeah, we might have a two-faced cat for sure. So I'm gonna start with the point that I'm most comfortable with, and that's the Versa-Tool and the shading point. Now it operates at a lower temp, so I'm not going to get those nice dark values right off the bat, and that's okay. On the screen it looks pretty dark. It's about half as dark as what you see there. So I'm going to have to go back and darken it up. But let's start with our nice outline around the eye. This is always the tricky part. Laura. Aw, thank you. I don't know. We're going to find out what the difference is going to look like here between the two sides. All right, everybody hold your breath. And breathe. These lines can certainly be a challenge to put in. but we're just going to go really slow. Alrighty. Laura, you're always holding your breath. Yeah. Me too. Alrighty, so there's a little bit of our line work. I'm going to shoot for more realism on this project versus some of the other projects that we've done lately that have more of a beginner type feel to them, a lot more outlining and simple shading. For this one, I'm going to really minimize the outlines and go for more realism. Having said that, there are times even in realism that you need some outlining, such as what we're doing here around the eyes, and then we'll kind of get everything blended together when the time comes. So I'm going back over this area and I'm going to darken up the center of the eye. If you spend too much time in an area like this, you can get some ghosting and overburn on the underside of the point, and I just try to avoid that when working on realism, because right here the surface of the wood is very hot. Even clear over here, that's pretty toasty, so I don't want to overburn. Alrighty. Gonna go back over and darken up these lines here. Kind of burn around the negative space. There's a little bit of a white ridge in there that I want to keep, but we can't add white, so we have to burn around it. Just go nice and slow. Whew. Alrighty. We're getting there, guys. Block in a little bit more of the upper part and add a little soft shading in there. Okay. And if at any time you feel like your lines are a little bit wonky, you can always go back and kind of even them up a little bit. It helps if you turn the wood to match your hand style. Okay. All right, next I'm going to put in just a really light outline around the highlight. All right, now for my favorite part is the gradient. When you look at an eye, a lot of times at the very top of the eye there's more of a shadow, as you can see here. So it's going to be darker at the top and then it fades down. So we are going to create more of a gradient. It'll be darker at the top and then fade down. And I don't like doing this like really aggressive. Like I don't want to put in super darks right off the bat. I want to kind of build up my values a little more slowly with eyes. Just because there's no going back once you get a lot of burn in there, a lot of darkness. Mina is curious, how do you choose what parts of the design to transfer in a project like this one? That's a very good point. Anytime that I see, hard edges, like where the flower the flower edges are, I go ahead and put those in to start with. A lot of times I'll start with the eyes and put in as much information that is helpful to me. I've started adding a little bit more fur direction into my transfer. Sometimes I don't really need it, but I think maybe it might help you guys as well to get the flow. Is once I get the direction of the fur and the angle changes and all that, that is helpful. But I just want a little bit of a reference, like a yeah, just a guide to help me from getting lost when I'm in a project. I find that sometimes too many details are, I don't know, maybe not as helpful for me, but for beginners, maybe transfer on more information. But that's definitely a good question. Some people do a whole lot. Some people don't transfer on very much. And what about the color of the fur? I'll add in like the different dark areas of the fur. I try to look for zones like we've talked about, little topography zones. So you can see here's a nice big chunk. It almost looks like a comma with two tails on it. So I look for any unusual spots or sections, and I try to make sure to get those in, and then I match a little bit of the direction of the fur. Yeah, very good question. And I know that I've shown a little bit of how to transfer an image on in the past. Yeah, the topo zones, Mina. And maybe I should do another video where we transfer the image on, since it's been a little while since we've done that. All right, so I'm just creating a little bit of a gradient from the top down. We are going to be darker towards the center of the eye. And then to create that nice rounded appearance, we want to shade a little bit on the edges. And then just lightly pull that gradient inwards to blend it. So that's a little bit not shaded enough. Let's go ahead and add a touch more. I'm going to go back to the top and just slowly start pulling that darkness downward. And this is a pretty decent size for this project. The eyes are big enough to where I can get a lot of good detail in there. All right, so now we're starting to get a little bit of that rounded, glassy appearance. Okay, so looking here, we need a little more on the outside. And towards the inner part of the eye, sometimes you can kind of swipe that outward. All right. So we're getting there. The reference photo has more like speckles in there, so you can add those in if you want, some little speckle spots. Just some dots, little lines. To add a little bit of variety and kind of some texture in there. And you can change up, you know, how dark they are. just to make it a little more interesting. Okay, so there's eye number one. A lot of times I like to kind of set the eye in its surroundings. So even just adding a little bit, take a little bit of time here to add some of the fur around it will make everything look more, I guess, realistic or just balanced instead of a floating eyeball. Let's go ahead and put in a little bit of the fur structure around the eye. I really like doing that. Oh, thanks, Cynthia and Vivian. Yeah, we just, follow the guide of gradient from the top down. And I love the highlights. That always makes it look a little bit glassy. If you don't have the shiny highlights in your photo, you can always add them in. Okay, so there we're starting to develop a little bit more depth just by adding a touch of fur around the eye. Now it's not quite floating and it's more kind of set into the project. Hi, Barbara. Oh, be careful with your storms. We just made one kitty eyeball with the Versa-Tool, and now we're going to switch over and work on, let me see about getting a good spot here for everybody. For the other eye with the Versa-Tool. This is almost not fair, guys, since I don't usually work with the Versa-Tool. But we're going to do it anyway. Alrighty. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, definitely like and subscribe if you're interested in the channel. We do a live stream each Friday night, and we also do a beginner live stream on the first Monday of each month. So if you're new here, definitely get signed up and click on the reminder notification bell so that whenever we have a live stream that you won't miss out. And if you do miss out, all of our live streams are archived over on our paid platform, Mighty Networks, where you can get access to all of our past projects. Everything is organized and sorted by skill level, so beginner, intermediate, advanced, and premium. You pay for what you're interested in. So if you're just beginner, it's $10 a month. For the beginner tier, if you want everything, you're like, I love it all, give me all the goodies, you get everything. For the diamond tier, that's $25 a month. And if you look at it, it's like less than $1 a day, and you get all the pattern projects that we're working on. You get these for free. You can create your own project and sell it if you want, which is pretty cool. Anyway, it's a great place to hang out with fellow artists, and we have a great community there. So take a look at Mina's link in the description there if you are interested more in the Mighty Networks paid platform where all the goodies are located. And you also get discounts over on all the patterns on Woodburning University. So at the diamond tier, you get 25% off all the patterns. So it's pretty cool. Alrighty, let's see here. As far as what I want to do. Okay, you guys saw me working with this point on Monday, and so I'm thinking this is what I'm going to start with. I find that I have the most control with this one. It's a round shader that I wound up just kind of beveling a little bit with some sandpaper. So let's give it a go. And I need a scrap piece of wood like we were working on last time, just to double check my temperature settings. So we are on, and I'm going to start with a level 5 and we'll see how we are. Thanks, Barbara. I hope you and your kitty are having a good time. Ah, that's okay, Terry. We're glad that you're here, and I hope that your trip packing goes well. You're not going to be here next Friday. Oh, you're going on vacation. Family visiting. Wow. I hope that all goes really well, and we will miss you. Alrighty, so here I have a level 5 with this modified round shader. Oh, that's pretty dark. I might turn it down just a little bit for the line work. Alright, let's try that, shall we? So I'm going to repeat and do the same thing. We'll start here in the center. And I know that this side is going to be darker right off the bat. And that is one aspect of the Versa-Tool, sorry, the Razertip, is that it burns darker. It has higher temp settings. That's pretty dark already. I think it's too dark. I think it's too hot. I'm going to go down to like closer to a 4. So I do have a slight ghosting on that backside, but not too bad. Alrighty. Next I'm going to use the upper point to put in our line work around the eyes. And, sorry guys, I got my noggin in the way. I'll try to keep my head back here. But by rocking this point up, you can get a really nice crisp line. The point kind of wants to dig into the wood a little bit, so you can see my line is not quite as even as the other side. Okay, so it's a little thinner of a line. It's definitely more jagged than the other side. You can sure get really thin lines here. All right, let's go a little bit more up here at the top. Alrighty. Not at all. Yeah. I'm just going to focus on one little section at a time, and then we'll switch. Go around our highlight. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to block in. I still think I need to turn it down a little bit. So I'm just under 4 on this. Yeah. Absolutely, Terry. The Razertip is burning much darker. much more quickly. So I'm going to start filling in a little of the shading here in this channel. Need to kind of even up my edges as well. This point is definitely like sharper than the Versa-Tool. It wants to dig in a wee bit more. Terry, you're thinking the Versa-Tool is more redder, more sepia. Yeah, it does have, I think, more of a warmer tone to it. It certainly can. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and start adding in our gradient from the top down. And I'm still just underneath a level 4, trying to make sure that I am able to control the temperature here. Start at the top and we just start pulling down the gradient. We're going to start down here and I'm going to push upwards to get that rounded aspect. And just try to pull the darkness from the outside of the eye inward. And then a little from the center outward. And I am still like blowing on the wood to try to, or the point to get it lightened up a little bit here and there. All right, pulling the gradient outward from the eye just a little bit. Whew, alrighty. Let's see. Crack, pop. Whew. Right. So I think I need a little bit it to be darker from the top down. So I'm going to go back and we're going to add another layer here of shading. Realistically, I probably should have done the eyes last because that will help me to practice with the Versa-Tool, or sorry, the Razertip. I'm trying to focus on the art and my brain is not speaking right. Alright, pulling down the gradient a little more here from the top down. Okay, now let's add a few of those little tidbits in here. Some of the flecks, I guess you could say, in the eyes. And let's set the eye with a bit of fur. This point is really good for fur. You get some nice little, really fine fur with this. So I'm still at just under 4 for the temperature. Alrighty. Oh, sorry. I went to the wrong side. I'm seeing things that I want to adjust, and I burned on the Versa-Tool side with the Razertip. That's not allowed. I can't do that. So I think I want to kind of clean up my line work a little in here. But we have a pretty good start with the 2 eyes. There we go. Yeah, Mina, I'm in trouble there. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off, and let's take a look at our 2 eyes. Pretty close. So, alrighty. Moving on, let's burn that cute little nose in there. Not quite crazy about the way I transferred that on. So I like to work on the main features. Get those, make sure that they're set well. Let's see, we'll just go up with the pattern. Right, we're gonna hide those eyes, those pretty eyes, for just a minute. And we'll focus on the nose. Cynthia, you like the Versa-Tool eye best? Yeah, I do too. Looking back, I should have made probably a bigger highlight on the Razertip side. And if I have a scratchy thing, we might be able to accentuate this highlight and make it a little bit bigger. I think that's part of the, the lack of glassiness. But my line work with the Versa-Tool is just a lot more even and smooth because I'm more used to it. But we can make this highlight a little bigger, and I think that that will help. Another thing that I like to do is, add color to the eyes. That is always helpful. And a lot of times have kind of a crescent down here of white, a light little crescent area down there, which will really make it pop. I'm gonna break rules here, guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in really quick just to show you. And I'll just be careful not to burn over that area. But I find that if you put a little bit of, see, just like right in the bottom here, that's pretty cool. and then you get a little bit more of that glassiness to the eyes. Now generally you don't want to add colored pencil until you're done with the wood burning for safety. You don't want to be burning over pigment or anything like that. I'm just dropping that in right now to show you guys how a touch of highlight there is pretty cool. And I'll be very careful if I do have to retouch the eyes that I stay away from that area. So, or wear a respirator to make sure that I don't get toxic fumes. But just that little bit of a highlight settle down there at the bottom is really cool and will make that glassy appearance really pop. And let's see. I'm going to take our colorless blender and we're just going to kind of do circles and massage that colored pencil into the wood, and it should look nice and smooth. There we go. So I find it amazing how just a tiny little bit of white makes a huge difference with the eyes. You can do the same thing and add that in here to the highlight. And it can just transform. Like, boom, they just come alive. It's really, really neat. And then I'll just massage that into the wood. And if you do want to add color to these eyes, burn them less. Don't over darken the eyes, because then that colored pencil just has nothing to hold on to. So there you go. And that's one of my favorite tricks for eyes, is that little bit of highlight down there at the bottom with some white, and poof, they just come alive. Okay, we're gonna hide those for a little bit and work on the nose. Yeah, I like the first eye better too, but it's just, yeah, preference. Vivian, you don't see a difference? Awesome, thanks. Okay, yeah, that's a little trick whenever you're doing eyes. Don't forget about the power of colored pencil. And you can use acrylic paint or whatever you want. I like colored pencil because I can get kind of in the really tight areas a little bit better. Okay, so kitty nose. And I go for the darks first. Remember, our darks are going to push back away from the viewer. So you're going to have little recesses, nooks and crannies. Those are all going to be pretty dark. Is my head in there again? It is. I'm sorry, guys. Let me adjust this camera just a little bit so you can see what's going on and not my head. Come on. Whoa. Bear with me here, guys. I do apologize. Oh, you're gonna be a... Why do you do that? I don't know. All right, if you get motion sick, don't look for a minute, because my camera is being really bad all of a sudden. All right, well, I'm just gonna have to keep my head out of the frame. There we go. Mina, you like the white highlights in the eyes too. I do as well. I think that just makes everything just pop. So I'm going to try to create the illusion of this cute little nose without doing a lot of hard outlines. The fur often gets darker right here where it meets the fleshy part of the nose. So I'm going to try to get that to put in there. And then we have a lot of times a little bit of whisker, not really whisker, but hair strokes along the outer edge to kind of soften up that transition. And then the cute little thing there comes down. We can just go ahead and put in a little bit of our kitty mouth. Okay. I want another layer underneath here because this lip area is darker. It's going to push back. And then we're going to start adding some real soft shading on the nose here in just a moment. I'm going to add a little more hair and fur structure. You want the hair to be really short on the nose. It's very, very short strokes. All right. So the edges of the nose are kind of rounded. So whenever we make something rounded, we're going to shade a little bit on the edges. And pull that gradient inward. If you need to turn the burner down, this would be a great time to do that. And add just a little light texture there. Okay. I think I need to go back over and do another layer and darken things up just a bit, and then we'll switch over to the Razertip. And it's hard because the nose is pretty small. Let me see about zooming in a little more. Alrighty, there. You guys can see the pattern. I'm gonna add, darken up here, add another little layer. Okay, so there's half a nose. And on to the Razertip. So I love the Versa-Tool because it creates really nice soft edges. And not to say that this doesn't, it just is the practice aspect. So let's keep going. We're just still underneath a level 4. And we'll put in our darks first. And right off the bat, you can see it's much darker than the Versa-Tool. Blowing on the point to just cool it down a little. Adding more layers. Anytime you work with fur, layers are totally your friend. Lots of layers. Okay, let's kind of blend this in, add some more fur strokes. To make that nose not float anymore. Pull this down a bit. So the Razertip can definitely make more crisp fur. The only thing you need to be careful with is that it doesn't look too wiry. You want a little bit of soft blended aspect to the fur as well, so you need a nice combination of texture and shading. Right now the Versa-Tool is putting in some really nice texture. It looks much more crisp. Let me see if I can get closer for you. A lot more crisp on the lines. Sometimes that's good, and then sometimes you need to soften it up a little bit so it doesn't look so kind of like a bristle brush. All right, so again with the nose, we're going to burn around the edges, make it look kind of rounded. Everybody must be snacking right now. You guys are talking about all kinds of yummy things there. The chat got pretty quiet all of a sudden. Probably snacks. Okay, so there's a little bit of a kitty nose. Let's darken this up a little more. Everybody's munching. Vivian, that's what I'm thinking. Laura, you're finishing your leftovers. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a recap here of our kitty cat. Alrighty, so let's start developing the fur. Thanks, Cynthia. Barbara, you need to do portraits of your 2 feline divas. Oh, that sounds fun. Vicky made a loaf of zucchini bread. That's always good. Although I have a problem with zucchini bread just because it's really good. But I had some zucchini bread when I was pregnant once. Morning sickness and all that. It was like, woo, I don't know. I like it now, but there for a time it was not the best option. All right, so moving on, we're going to continue with putting in the fur on the Versa-Tool side. So I'm going to be focused right here along the face down to the little chin. One of the challenges that I have whenever I burn an animal with the multi-directional fur is I do have to turn the wood. I'll work as long as I can in a certain area, but then I'm just gonna have to turn the wood, and that's, you just have to get the right angle on everything. So awesome, thanks Laura. All right, if I need to zoom in, you guys give me a holler. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of block in the upper part of the face. We have quite a bit of dark, I forgot that. Quite a bit of dark in here along this edge. So I'm going to just put that in as kind of a nice way to frame the face. And I will probably keep the whiskers very simplified towards the end and just draw them in even just dark. To burn around whiskers is very time consuming, and and I just don't really want to take up that much time doing that with the live stream. So we'll just put them in. We can even do that now. Kind of make black whiskers, dark whiskers. There's a good chance I'll need to darken them up as we develop the shading, but for right now, we'll just go ahead and put them in. Okay. Already he's looking pretty cute. Okay. So I'm going to start probably into some of these darker patches as we start to develop the fur. We want to keep these edges pretty irregular. Come on, zoom. There we go. If you think about a cheetah or a zebra, anything that has stripes or spots, a leopard, you don't want to you don't want to outline the spots and then fill them in with fur. It just doesn't look quite right. So you want to go ahead and create the shape of your spots using fur strokes like this. When you're looking for realism, this is going to yield a much more realistic result than if you outline your spots. So no outlines for fur. Just go ahead and start putting them in with the irregular outlines. Vicky, you can use white colored pencil for the whiskers also, yes. We can scratch them in later. If you have kind of a line like this, like we've just done, there's some options. If you have a whisker that we've drawn in like that, then you can go in later and kind of scratch out above it and or put in a white above it like this. And then where you would burn, it looks like the underside of the whisker, so it looks like you just gave the whisker a shadow, which is pretty darn cool. If you've already wood burned in that area, just go ahead and scratch it out and then apply some white and leave that nice little dainty line, and it looks like the shadow, the underside of a whisker. So good point, Vicky. You can use colored pencil for the whiskers. But I don't want to put that in now because I have to burn around everything, and I don't want to burn over the colored pencil. Okay. And fur always takes multiple layers, so I'm going to try to make this go as quickly as possible. But I like to start with the darker sections first. We'll put those in. And then I usually go back and darken them up again, or maybe even a couple times, and then we'll start developing the rest of the fur. Now this is one of the downfalls of the Versa-Tool, is wood burning fur takes a long time because you can obviously see even at high temp it's not going to get near as dark as the Razertip. In this case, you just want to have a lot of patience and burn in layers. Lots of layers. So this is kind of just like a pre-sketch to start putting in our topography zones of the different areas of, lights and darks. And then like here on the cheek, the fur is much shorter, so we want to match that and just put in shorter strokes. And this light sketching phase is great for figuring out, you know, the twists and the turns and how the fur folds on a three-dimensional surface, which can be always a little bit of a challenge to recreate. Alright, and here your strokes are going to be really short. And this hair changes so fast in this area. And then there's this funny little spot right in here where the hair goes from going up to changing to going down, which is always a little bit of a weird transition. I'm trying to think about when the last time it was that I showed how to wood burn something with fur. Seems like it may have been a while, I'm not sure. Alright, now we gotta loop around and change the direction of the fur on the nose, so now we're looping down. And this part in here is super, super short. It's almost like a dot slide technique, like a stippling with a smudge. As it kind of changes direction. Okay, oh, I'm going to stay over here. So we've got this fur to put in. And then it kind of changes, does a little wave pattern here. This is not really the best position for me to do that one. So I'll just work as best as I can, and then I'll have to reposition. Okay, so we're starting to develop a little bit of the fur pattern in some of the darker areas. So let's go back over, and I'm going to darken up some of these areas. Just going slower. But still matching the direction of the fur and the length of the fur. Okay, one of my favorite parts to burn is this dark area right here above the eye. It really gives a lot of life to your subject. Kind of makes those eyes sink in a little more. And we'll darken up this section here. Whenever you burn fur, layers are key. They're absolutely key. If you try to create the illusion of fur like in one pass, I think it usually just looks a little flat. We get caught up in almost kind of shading in an area or completing an area. Like if you march across the wood left to right or top to bottom, some people can do that and they're amazing. I can't do that, and so I find that if I work in a consistent motion, left to right, top to bottom, I create more of a really consistent texture. And fur is all about variety. I want the little bits and pieces of unburned wood to shine through. In here you can see you've got some lighter sections there. If you have everything too even of a value, it's just not gonna have the life to it. It's gonna look kind of flat. And so you'll notice I do kind of jump around from place to place, and that's one of the reasons I really like to keep it random when it comes to fur. Hi Lisa, welcome. Thanks. Yeah, we had fun with the eyes. And we are just throwing in some fur texture here. And you'll notice that I'm trying to get you know, some darker spots, keep those lighter ones in there as well. But if I shade it too much, it'll turn really flat. So the unburned wood peeking through the fur really gives it a lot of life. And this is one of the more challenging things when it comes to wood burning, is just getting these values in here dark enough and taking the time to really push them and make them darker. All right, well, I'm just gonna keep going because I can't reach that one. All right, next, this is always fun. I like to kind of start sketching in the fur in between. Just a nice light sketch, keeping in mind the direction and the texture. If you make a mistake at this point, if your hair gets off one way or another, this is a great time to kind of correct that. But if you start burning in really dark strokes right away, then you're going to have much more of a hard time making corrections later. So start off lighter to begin with, figure out the fur pattern, put those in, and then once you have them in place, just start building up your values. Alrighty, so I'm going to do another pass in here and make just some nice little dark spots. Kind of blend it in towards the eye. So the lighter areas can go pretty quickly. And then we blend the zones together so they don't look quite so isolated, like little islands. just start bringing shading farther out. We're going to blend in these sections. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, this little fella is looking pretty good. Although, is it a boy kitty or a girl kitty? I'm not sure. With the flowers, it might just be a little girl kitty. I don't know. All right, it's time to name the cat, guys. So even though I have a dark section here, we don't want heavy outlines around it. And then once you put that in, you need to kind of blend it into its environment just a little bit so it doesn't look quite so isolated. Barbara says, girl kitty, floral feline. Oh, good. I'm kind of like leaning, Felicity. I don't know why. You said floral feline Felicity. Just kind of jumped in to my mind. Rhonda says blossom. Ooh, nice. Night Owl says petals and paws. Oh, that's great. That would be that's a great name for the project in general. Alrighty, so we're starting to really develop some of that fur. Everything up here is quite dark, but let me see if I can't put that in. Can put that in really quick. Yeah, petals and paws. That's pretty cute. Now, even though this is just a big dark blob up there, I still want to try to put in a little bit of fur stroke, just so I don't go from fur texture to a big smooth dark area. It looks just a little unnatural. Okay, so this area up here definitely needs some more work. Need to push that back by darkening it up. So when we darken an area, it makes it go kind of farther back from the viewer. Okay, so now we're getting a little shadow from the flower there. Peekaboo pussycat. That's very good too, Barbara. All right. So more layering of fur. Steve, you're saying name the cat Pyewacket? I don't know that. What is that? It's cute. I have no idea what that is. Oh, Munchie. Vivian, that's a good name too. Munchie the kitty, because everybody was eating. Oh, you have no more ice cream. Awesome. Munchie the floral kitty. That's cute. All right, so another layer in here. I'm not crazy about this angle, but it is what it is. All right, we're gonna add some soft fur in here, tie these areas together. Ooh, Pyrocat, that would be good, Lisa. Okay. Incognito Kitty. That's good. I don't know, guys. We might have to go with Munchie. Munchie the feline kitty. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I need to take a really brief intermission, guys. I'll be right back. The sheep are almost here, so let me just double check that everything's okay, and I will be right back, guys. Intermission. Grab a snack. Another one. Oh dear. Okay, my sincerest apologies, guys. I'm back. Alrighty. Oh, Barbara says peeking through the posies. Grab another snack, guys. Alright. Yeah, I think Munchie. We'll go with Munchie. Munchie the kitty. Okay, we'll do Munchie the kitty. Alrighty, so this is working out pretty well so far. I think I'm kind of to the point where I'm going to need to turn the wood. So let me get that set up so you guys can see. And we'll go up this way. Well, shoot, you can't see very well there. Okay. Yeah, I'll figure it out, guys. Okay, how about that? Okay, tape. You always have to have lots of tape here. Keep our world together. Hi, Bobby. Well, hello, hon. Okay. So I think I'm just going to kind of clean up and go down to there, and then we'll switch to the other side and start in with the Razertip. Now, when we take this fur across the grain, you can see the grain really starts to show up a bit more. Okay, and we'll go back, give it another layer. And kind of darken up. I like to darken around the eyes. It just makes it really nice and dramatic. We'll darken out this little patch here. Bring it on downward. And we'll take some longer strokes in here. And I want to darken a little bit more around the eye. It just takes a little while to push these values dark enough. But it'll be worth it in the end for sure. The light areas always tend to go pretty quickly. It's the darks that take more of the time. So guys, I did not get my project done for that art competition that I was doing with the sheepdog. I ran out of time with between projects and being sick last month. I just did not get it done. So it's partially done and it'll be ready for next year, I guess. But that's kind of life. So what's everybody else working on right now? You guys, I know we've got vacations going on, some travel. Are you guys working on projects? I know Lisa's having a lot of fun with those Yuli watercolors and getting back into the swing of things. Let's see. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, I did make quite a bit of progress on it, but I didn't get it done, that project, in time. So it is what it is. Thanks, Mina. All right, so we're going to blend a little bit of this fur over. Okay, and then kind of soften this up a little. Laura, you're working on an owl in a tree. Cool. Sounds fun. Okay, so we're just going to kind of pause there with the Versa-Tool, and I will jump over to the other side and we'll get going with the Razertip. That looks kind of neat though, just like the half pattern. That's pretty cool. Not sure that I want to cover that up. Let's maybe go up here. I might need to zoom out a little bit. I have a hard time getting everything to where you guys can see it all. Let's see here. Barbara, you're working on projects at home, still going through things. It's been a challenge, especially with your husband's passing. And another family funeral. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's difficult. Vicky, you finished the owl with flowers. Cool. Oh, I didn't show you guys. I finished it. I'm done with it too. So here's the owl with the flowers. Ta-da! There, I'll zoom out. I wound up darkening him up just a little bit after we finished the live stream, because I was looking at it and I'm thinking it doesn't seem quite, I don't know, done enough. So I went back over and darkened up some of the areas up here in the ears, and then I wanted him to be a little bit more rounded, so darken up the edges, lighter in the middle, makes a rounded owl. So that is that. And I did finish it with the Razertip. I did not cheat and use the Versa-Tool at all. So stuck with the same point. Yeah, this one would be a lot of fun for color, for sure. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I think it does look better too. Let's see. Lisa, you have a request for coral. Finding pictures has been a challenge. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So you're talking like a coral reef? Lisa, is that what you're looking for? Barbara, you're working on 2 projects, a bobcat and a leopard. Cool. Night Owl just finished a picture for a coworker. Now you're going to work on some personal projects. That's great. Let's see, Vivian, you've not had a chance to do drawing or burning, but you're trying to organize the garage to do woodworking. That sounds fun. Thanks, Mina, for making the note. And Barbara's making a photo op for Bernie the bear. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Okay, so Lisa says a coral reef. Okay, cool. Are we talking like horizontal or vertical format? Give me details, and we'll or just send me a message with the details if you want, and I'll see what I can do for you. All right, so we're still at a level 4, just under, but I want to bump it up. Let's shoot for like a level 5 and see what we can do. I'm going to jump up in here. So already you can see that this is a lot faster with the fur. And I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to start with kind of a sketch to sketch in the general feel and flow of the fur. Coral reef. Okay, cool. Sounds good, Lisa. All right, so kind of, I'm going to block in the, wow, that's dark, around the flower. Okay. So this is where, I mean, the fur can really turn into kind of more of a, like a bristle brush. It can be pretty scratchy, but just add some more layers, rock that point down. So instead of holding it really vertical like that, we'll rock it down, make it a little softer. And we just need to get that nice blend of texture and shading. So think bristle brush versus a soft, fluffy brush. And you want a nice combination of that for fur. Oh, that's just kind of one layer. It definitely needs more layers, but we're just going to keep sketching here. Okay, let's work in here around the eye. Start drawing those out. And yeah, we're sitting right around a level 5 for this point. Okay, more sketching. And thank you to everybody on Mighty Networks for voting on the project. It was so close. We were either going to do this project first or a steampunk themed peacock. And it was super close. It looked like the peacock was going to win hands down. And then the kitty lovers came out and we had a kind of a resurging of votes there. And it was very close, but the kitty won by 1 vote. And everybody else that wants to do the peacock project, don't worry, we will do that one after the kitty is done. So we're not gonna skip out, because we were gonna do that one last year and I don't know what happened. We just kind of forgot and moved on to another project. And I was going through some old footage and I'm thinking, oh no, we did not do Woodburning of the steampunk peacock. So that is what is next after this one. Just kind of outlining. I forgot we have whiskers to put in too. Let's see, let me turn this sideways and we'll put in our whiskers. This point is definitely more scratchy than what we were just working with. Whoa, I got off of, yeah, didn't follow the line very well on that one. Okay, back we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to go through and add another layer in here. Start building the shading up. Hang on, it looks like the camera's going a little bit crazy. Barbara says meow for the win. And your kitties made you vote for it too. Aw, that's very cute. Oh dear. Thanks, Barbara. We have a lot of fun with these. A steampunk chicken, that would be cool. For a minute, I don't know why, but I thought you said a steampunk shark. Just glancing up, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? We're gonna have to do a whole steampunk series. Steampunk shark. That would be different. A chicken would be fun too. Vivian says we're getting close to the 150th live stream. How about a Zoom party? That sounds like fun. That's right. We are, what is this, 141 on our live streams? Wow, that's pretty amazing. A steampunk shark would be fun with all those teeth. Oh, that would be, yeah, definitely Jules Verne. A steampunk rooster, that'd be fun. We have so many great ideas. If we keep at it, you guys are gonna get me on here for a live stream each night. Holy cow. There are a lot of fun projects, aren't there? Alrighty. I'll have to take a look at another Zoom party. That was fun. 50, yeah, it must have been last summer that we did our Zoom party. 100 to 50, yeah, because there's like 52 weeks in a year. It's amazing how fast the year has gone by already. Oh, you missed the last one, Barbara. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to start sketching in some of the other fur here. Try to get a start on that. I think I need to turn it down though, more like a level 4. These shorter strokes in here are pretty challenging. I just have to move the burner so fast that it's kind of difficult. Steve says, a steampunk star-nosed mole. Wow. I bet he would look pretty cool. He's got to have some glasses, some goggles. That'll be fun. All right, turning that down has helped quite a bit. I know on social media I shared a wood burning of a snow leopard that I did. It's been a couple years ago now, but that one I did completely with the Razertip system as well. I'm just kind of having little flashbacks to burning the fur on that one. My line's not quite exactly straight up and down the nose, but that's okay. We'll just kind of keep going here. Hello. Gives you at least a good idea here. Okay. So I'm going to go to like 4.5 to start putting in some of the lighter areas and blend out the zones. So from my point of view, the fur is going much faster with the Razertip than the Versa-Tool. And I always add like adding lots of different layers, but as far as just throwing down value, the Versa-Tool is definitely faster. I can really see a combination that would be beneficial to kind of work with both tools. I would say get most everything blocked in with the Versa-Tool and then go back with the Razertip and hit those darks and really make those dark enough, because that's one of my biggest challenges with the Versa-Tool is it takes so long to get the darker layers of fur, the darker values of fur. But I love the softness that you get with the Versa-Tool. And we're going to try to achieve that with the Razertip as well here in just a little bit once we get some more of this texture down. But generally I like to put texture and then shading. Night Owl says, life is about collecting invaluable experiences. That is very true. So my goal here is in the next 20 minutes to kind of catch up on the Razertip side and get a pretty good comparable between the two projects here. But we'll see how that all works out. So I'm going to go back through here and try to kind of add a little bit more depth in the fur because this is a little shallow. Looks a little bit flat. I think you could make a little more noise there, Hen.
Had to grab a cheese bag.
Aw.
Suicided out.
Oh dear, the cheese leapt out of the bag. Aw.
Killed the bag with rain.
Uh-oh. And a lot of that bulk stuff, the cheese can go downstairs.
Okay.
Thank you. Alright, so we're getting there. Definitely it seems to me that Razertip is just so much darker. But we're making good progress here. This is, I think, one of my favorite things to do is the shading, the building up of the fur. I know it can be a little bit tedious, but it's just so neat when it starts to come like alive and you see the depth in there. It's just really beautiful. And then for some of these patches, you can go back and touch up and add a little bit darker in the middle areas. Kind of accentuate the stripe pattern on the kitty. Where am I? Oh, yeah. Burning the wrong thing there. Oops. Alrighty. We'll just kind of blend it out. I was burning this thinking it was that. Yeah. That's okay. That's a really nice thing about fur in any case is that it is pretty abstract. If you just kind of get the general feel of it, you'll be fine. That was a total mistake on my part. I was looking there and burning the wrong thing, so oops. Alrighty. So what do you guys think so far of the difference between the fur? I'm going to turn this up more to a level 5. Anytime that I work with longer strokes, it helps to have the burner temperature up a little higher. Just allows those long sweeping strokes to kind of develop more quickly. Looks great. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah. But you know, it definitely has a little bit of a different feel to it. Vivian says the Versa-Tool side, the texture looks softer. Yes, I would agree. Vicky says, wish my oops looked as good as yours. Well, we all have those oops from time to time. Definitely something like the abstract fur, it's easier to hide. It's not going to make or break the picture. Like if I made a big oops with the eyes, you know, sometimes those are hard to recover from. And that's generally why I like to do start with the eyes when I do a wood burning, because if they turn out, I get a pretty good chance of making the rest of it turn out as well. But if the eyes don't work, it's time to start over. Either sand them down or start with a new piece of wood. Okay, so this area over here is kind of a little bit flat. To fix that, we are going to start burning darker and push some of the area, looks like in the inner ear, darker. And then we've got some shadows from the flowers that we want to put in as well. And this will push the dark areas back, pull the fur forward, and it won't look so flat. Thanks, guys. Night Owl, you like the Versa-Tool side a little bit more? Cool. And I think time-wise, I think we've spent more time on the Versa-Tool side than we have on this side. Let's see. Got, oh my gosh, just 10 minutes. Let me see what I can do to kind of soften this up a little bit. I'm going to go back towards a level 4 and see if I can rock the point down and smooth out some of these areas and blend it so it doesn't look quite so scratchy. And we'll just have another review here in a few minutes. Just kind of smooth it out. Because I think I put this side in pretty quickly. But you can see now that I'm starting to put in the shading over here, it's turning flat. I'm losing some of those nice highlights of the unburned wood sneaking through. But I'm going to just keep going here. I just need to remind myself not to shade too much. But I'll try to soften it a little, and we'll see if that works. It's maybe a little bit softer. Lisa says you like the depth of the Razertip side better. Yeah, I can get those darks better. One thing that I am noticing on the Razertip side is I'm losing the highlights in there. Because this burns darker faster, I think, or maybe I'm just not paying attention, but I'm losing some of my highlights on this side. So I'm going to be more mindful of that and try not to overburn certain areas. Lisa is wondering if you can scratch them back in. That's exactly what I was thinking. I will do that here in just a minute before we finish up, and we'll see if we can kind of bring some life back into those areas that I overshaded. All right, I'm going to turn this sideways really quick to put in some of this. I want it to look a little more complete before we find a stopping point. And we'll darken up this eye a bit more. Okay. I think developing the area around the eye helped a bit as well. All right, so I think that in the big picture we spent probably a lot more time on the Versa-Tool side than we did on the Razertip side. You can just throw down value so much faster with the Razertip. But I went a little bit crazy on that and overburned some areas. So let's try Lisa's idea here as far as scratching some of our highlighted areas back in. A lot of times I don't like scratching the wood, but you know, you do what you gotta do. And we'll see if we can't retrieve some of these highlights. So yeah, that is working. Excuse me. And I'm just going to try to pull out a little bit more of those lovely little highlights that we lost. Oh dear. Okay, so that allows a little bit more of a balance to recapture some of those highlights. Okay. All right, let's zoom out a little bit here and get kind of a little bit more of a bird's eye view as far as where we're at. And I agree that the color is different with the different tools, and I can't really explain why, but the Versa-Tool side always seems to have a little bit more of a warmer tone to it, whereas the Razertip seems to be, I wouldn't really say more cold, but it's like the difference between a sepia brown and then like a burnt umber or a raw umber. It's just a slightly different brown, which is the weirdest thing because it's all basswood, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. And there we go. So I think we're there for tonight on tonight's live stream. Next week we will continue on. We'll get the kitty hopefully finished up and then start into those flowers. So let me know if you have any questions as we're nearing the end of the live stream. And you can always email me if you have questions. But yeah, this has been a fun project. I'm glad I put the line down the middle. It's just helping me a little bit. I don't know how much you're going to see it later on, but alrighty. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I hope that you have learned a little bit with the different tools. Definitely can burn faster with the Razertip. However, I love the warmth and more of the depth that comes with the Versa-Tool or a solid point burner. And it might just be I need to spend a little bit more time with blending and kind of evening things out, but a lot of fun. So thank you guys for this idea. This is fantastic, and I will see everybody next Friday, same time, same place. Awesome. Okay, all right. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.